Needless Things Podcast. Hey, Phantomaniacs! Welcome to the newest episode of the Needless Things Podcast, where we talk about toys, movies, music, and all manner of pop culture dorkery. I am your host, Dave, and I may be a little early for this, but may the 4th be with you. We don't put episodes up on Tuesdays, or at least not normally, so we're hitting it a little early. But if you check out the Needless Things YouTube channel next Monday and Tuesday, I've got a couple of special Star Wars treats going up on those days for you. And then this week saw reviews of the new repainted Scarlet and Roadblock from the G.I. Joe Classified series, and I compared them to the original releases, and I wasn't going to buy these. I figured I was going to buy them, but it wasn't something, like I didn't pre-order them. I wasn't really hunting them online or anything like that. It was just a matter of, I knew if I ran into them in the store that I would end up getting them. And that's what happened, shockingly, because you don't see G.I. Joe stuff in stores all that often. But we'll talk about that more next week on the May episode of Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. My point there was that if you go to the Needless Things YouTube channel on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, I checked out those G.I. Joe figures, and then Monday was, much like May the 4th be with you, a made-up holiday celebrating a pop culture thing, which, if you know the show, you know I'm all about that. So for 4/26, I reviewed Leonard Toys Alien Queen Giant Deluxe Electronic Lights and Sounds action figure, which is awesome. And I bought it knowing, because my son has all the Leonard Alien and Predator stuff, I bought it with the intention of giving it to him. And then once I opened it and played with it and did my video review and everything, I was like, I'm not sure I want to give this to him. But I did anyway, because I try to be a good dad and also to sometimes justify my ridiculous number of toy purchases. So there you go. That's what's up on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Check that out next week. And then Wednesday, I normally have reviews up every Monday and Wednesday. Tuesday is going to be sort of a special thing. And then Wednesday will be something else. I'm in the middle of a 5-day stretch right now, so I don't know what I'm going to have time to review or not review, but there will still be a review on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, you will have reviews on the Needless Things YouTube channel. We got to move on, because this is a big episode. The funny thing, if you go and look at, what was it, Jedi Temple Archives? Hang on, let me scroll it down here. I want to make sure I get this right. Jedi Temple Archives is the website that we use for reference. And that was after checking Figure Realm and Rebel Scum and kind of poking around the internet. It's actually very difficult to get an accurate listing of Power of the Force 2 as far as the dates and everything. So that's where we ended up. And just looking at the page of because we only cover the red carded stuff. The first, I think it's 6 waves of figures, and then vehicles, playsets, whatever else. But it's everything with the red, which it's really more orange, but it's supposed to be a red lightsaber. The red card stuff, that's all we cover. And looking at that website, it's like, well, there's not that much. And I wasn't even sure it was going to be a whole episode. And boy, howdy was it, because between the memories we shared of collecting this line, thoughts about the line coming back, and just this and that and the other, by the time we were done, it was definitely a full episode. So you guys are going to really enjoy listening to this. It brought back a lot of memories and a lot of nostalgia for this sort of unique and weird version of the Star Wars toy franchise. All right, so before we get to the meat of the show, as I like to say, I got a couple of things to cover. I don't know if I'm even going to use the news. As much as I like the news sting, it constrains me to things that I feel like are actually news rather than just sort of information. Maybe it could be the information sting. I don't know, but I'm not using it today. First thing I want to mention is, so next week is the May episode of Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. The week after that, coming May 14th, if you remember last year, right as the pandemic was settling in and we were starting to sort of realize, like, oh, this is not good, we recorded an episode of the Needless Things podcast. I believe it's episode 310, but I could be wrong. Called The Greatest Movie of All Time. And it is one of the greatest Needless Things episodes of all time. If you have not listened to it, I highly recommend you go back and listen to it. Things got contentious, things got ridiculous, and things got drunk. Well, May 14th, you're going to want to tune in. Set it on your calendar. 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be dropping the greatest animated series of all time. That's right. Our same crew, our Needless Commentary crew, the Cadavers, Arian, myself, the lovely Mrs. Troublemaker as our arbiter of justice, will be determining the greatest animated series of all time. And we are already having a blast with this because, I say that. You have no idea how contentious and difficult this is going to be. Just setting up the initial bracket of 64 animated series has been brutal. We're already having a blast talking about this in the Needless Things Podcast Facebook group. If you have not joined, I highly recommend you join to take part in this Needless Things event. This is not just an episode. This is an event, and everybody in the Facebook group is involved because I'm putting up polls every day asking for people's opinions, for their suggestions, and we have to narrow franchises down. As ugly and unpleasant as it is, we are not going into the bracket of 64 with 5 Batman cartoons, 3 Ninja Turtle cartoons, 2 Thundercats cartoons. We're not doing it. Each franchise gets 1 entry into the bracket of 64. Now, there are some... We'll explain all of the rules in the episode, but for the time being, all you need to know is you need to join the Needless Things Podcast Facebook group so you can vote on your favorite Transformers show, Ninja Turtles show, Batman show. The list goes on because we're having to break these things down before we get to the tournament itself. So get in on that. We're having a great time talking about it already. Biggest responses, I think, in the history of the group from this, because people want to share their thoughts. They want to share their favorites. But the thing to remember, this is the greatest animated series of all time. Not my favorite animated series of all time or the best animated series of all time. Lots of considerations. And like I said, we're having a great time talking about it. So check that out. All right. May 14th. Mark it on your calendar. Okay. Next up, Mortal Kombat finally came out. We watched it, and we all dug it, but nobody in the group really felt like we had to do an episode about it. It's great. It's fun. I honestly, personally, don't know that it's really any better than the 95 one that we just covered on a Needless Commentary. You should go back and listen to that if you have not. It's more modern, obviously, but as far as being a fun Mortal Kombat movie, I think it's pretty much on the same footing as the first one. But that's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, jump into that Needless Things Podcast Facebook group or hit up Needless Things _ I know, that's terrible, on Twitter. Instagram, not really the best for exchanging messages. So just tweet at us, Needless Things _ if you go to Twitter and search Needless Things Podcast, I'm sure you'll find us and our terrible, terrible handle. All right. Moving on to actual news. NECA finally revealed, full reveal of the Judith Hoag April O'Neil action figure. There has been this awesome thing going on all April long, get it, where Judith Hoag has been personally walking us through step by step the creation and design of this April O'Neil action figure. It's been one of the coolest things I've seen in my whole history of collecting toys. If you haven't watched these videos They're on the NECA Instagram page. They're on Judith Hoag's Instagram page. I believe she's even posting expanded versions on her YouTube channel. It's awesome stuff. I haven't gone to her YouTube channel yet to watch the full-length ones because I just haven't had time. But the IG versions are like, I think 3 to 4 minutes, and have just been this amazing look at how an action figure gets made. The figures went up for pre-order, and there were 2 different versions. One is a $30 version, just Ultimate April O'Neil, comes with a bunch of accessories, looks absolutely incredible except for the really bizarre wonky knees. And then there was a signature version that's the same thing, but also includes the yellow raincoat and a laminated press pass signed by Judith Hoag, which is awesome. But that was $100. I missed it because by the time I saw, that came out on Tuesday, and my Tuesday was pure hell. I'm not going to go into it. It was just a very unpleasant day. So I wasn't online when it went up for pre-order. The regular April is open pre-order, I think, through this coming Tuesday, perhaps a little longer, but I think it's about a week. So you can order as many of those as you want. I ordered 2 because my hope is, I want one to open, obviously. My hope is that with Judith Hoag taking such a big part in this process and becoming a much more public persona, that maybe she'll end up going to some conventions or something, and I'll be able to get that other April signed alongside my Kevin Nash Super Shredder that I will hopefully one day get signed once I'm traveling and going to cons again. So excited about that. The figure looks, like I said, absolutely incredible. I'm not that broken up about the raincoat because it would be nice to have, but I'll tell you right now, I don't believe I would have displayed her with the raincoat on. So, I'm not really all that heartbroken over that. In other Ninja Turtle news, Super 7, after days of teases, announced and put up for pre-order the 5th wave of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates, consisting of, I'm not using the proper names, maybe I am, Sewer Samurai Leonardo, Ray Fillet, who I have referred to as Max Ray from time to time in the past, because I get him confused with the Centurion figure for some reason, Krang, and Leatherhead. So the Samurai Leo looks awesome. I think it was the first one that they teased, and out of all of the sort of variation Ninja Turtles that came out back in the day, it was one of my favorites. And then Krang, Leatherhead, and then I think Ray Fillet was last. But whatever the case, those are the 4. And Ray Fillet, one of my favorite original Ninja Turtles figures, period. Always in the middle of things. He's an aquatic guy, which you guys know I love. The Super 7 one does not appear to have the color change feature, but that's okay because not all of the Ray Fillet figures had the color change feature. And if you're paying attention, you will notice that Super 7 has recently put up some color-changing items, or a color-changing item, namely the Toxic Avenger. I think there's a good chance we'll get a variant Ray Fillet, and I'll buy that one too. Out of these 4 figures, though, I only ordered Ray Fillet and Leatherhead for 2 reasons. One, Super 7 has increased the price on these by $10. They're now $55 a piece. I still think they're worth that. Your mileage may vary, and that's fine. We all have different value that we put on our collectibles, our toys, what we're willing to pay. For me, for the quality of these figures, for how much I love this collection, it's worth it. However, it is not worth it for figures that I'm not like 1,000% jazzed for. And as cool as Samurai Leonardo looks, for another Leonardo, I just can't justify it. And then Krang, that original Krang and just the little walker thing was never one of my favorite figures anyway. As a matter of fact, I specifically didn't particularly care for that figure. So I won't be getting this Krang. My only hope is that if/when Super 7 gets around to doing their version of the Android body for Krang that it does include a Krang, and I don't have to go back and buy one of these. I would imagine that it will, but I'm going to take that chance because guys, I cannot justify $55 for that. I'm sure this will be the coolest Krang Walker ever produced, but it's still Krang Walker, one of, in my opinion, the lamest action figures of all time. So I did not bite on that. Let's see. I got two more. Oh, no, one more, because I already talked about Audible Interlude. Got lots of stuff to talk about next week there. Finally, one last thing I wanted to mention real quick is Impact Wrestling has really, really won me back over. As a matter of fact, I should be watching it right now, but I had to produce my podcast. I had to get my workout in. Things to do, people. But I am just really loving Impact Wrestling right now. If I had to drop a company, it would be WWE and even NXT, and I would stick with AEW and Impact because they are delivering, in my opinion, again, your mileage may vary, they are delivering the entertainment value, the fun, the a bit of unpredictability. And obviously, yes, two of my guys, two of my favorites, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, are in Impact and just had a killer match against each other at Rebellion, the most recent pay-per-view. But beyond those guys, and that's the thing, is I started watching for them, but then the rest of the company got me hooked. They've got a lot of unique, fun, a wide range of talent and performers, and it's just delivering something that's different and entertaining to me. You can watch it every Thursday on Twitch. I recommend you watch it on Twitch, actually, because rather than the commercials you'll see on Access TV, which I don't even get, you get classic Impact segments, one of which is the legendary Scott Steiner math promo. So every single Thursday during new episodes of Impact, you get to see the Scott Steiner math promo. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. So there you go. I'm loving Impact Wrestling right now. I cannot wait for things to open up because I really, really, really want to go see Impact and AEW live. Far more. And I'm still enjoying WWE. I will always enjoy WWE, but it is out of my post-pandemic destinations. AEW and Impact are on the list. WWE is if it's convenient. You know what I mean? So there you go. Now it is time to sit back with a big old glass of blue milk. Hang on. Blue milk. And enjoy myself and our invaluable head of research, Ryan Schweck, talking about the 1995 Star Wars toy relaunch. Here we go. Joining me once again, because there is nobody better qualified for this conversation than our head of research, Mr. Ryan Schweck.
Hey, good to be back. Really looking forward to digging into some deep conversations about politics and social justice. And, oh, wait, no, wrong podcast. It's time for more toys.
It is definitely time for more toys, the things that distract you from those issues. So right around the time that I'm not even sure when we met, it was after the special editions came out, right?
Yeah, it was, let's see, I was probably, so it's about 97, I think.
97, 98, somewhere around there. So this had already happened, but I believe you and I were about equally invested in the relaunch of the Star Wars toy line from Kenner.
Yeah, this Power of the Force in '95 is when I got back into toy collecting. I think I've talked about it before, and it was '92 or '93, I think. I went to summer camp, and while I was gone, my mom decided to help me to give me a older room, and part of that was giving all my toys away.
Oh no!
That I had packed
I don't think
up.
I've ever heard this.
Yeah, came home and they were gone. And all I had left, we talked about the Mum-Ra last time, and I had a Chewbacca and a Stormtrooper that had just somehow missed the purge.
Oh,
but it was all gone. And so 95 hits, and I just started working. Had my first job at McDonald's, and had that money burning a hole in my pocket. I went all in.
Well, I remember because I was working my first management job in retail at the time at a place called Video Game Exchange. And the manager that hired me and the district manager were both into toy collecting already. And I think I had maybe a year where I sort of slowed down. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I really went from Ninja Turtles could have been sort of the end for me, but then the Toy Biz X-Men hit, and that kept me going. And that was I know I had a slow point somewhere, but by the time this line was announced, I was collecting. But I don't remember where I first heard about this because there was no Toy Fair at the time, no Toy Fair magazine. So I'm guessing we were all reading Tomart or something, one of those Price Guide Digest type magazines. Cause I don't know where else, cause we knew about it before it came out. We knew it was happening.
Yeah. I want to say maybe I heard about it at the comic shop or something like that.
Yeah. And it's, maybe Previews had something about them. I don't know.
Well,
the comic shop is where we got those old toy magazines, the pre-Toy Fair ones. So
yeah,
they would have known about it.
We've kind of talked about this some on Execute 66 with the Shadows of the Empire episode, but really 95 or really late 94 is when they kind of turned back on the Star Wars machine.
Yeah.
And it was a test basically to get marketing moving for the special editions. And that's what Shadows of the Empire is. It's straight up a multimedia test to make sure all the press and the toys and the comics and all of it works before the movies come out.
Well, and what's funny is that, we both know people around 10 years younger than us. And a lot of those people, the special editions is where their interest in Star Wars started. Mm-hmm. So this was the Star Wars toy line that they grew up with. But, for us, it was a matter of, oh my gosh, they're Star Wars toys again. This is insane. They're coming back because it had been, essentially a drought since 85. We had the books, but toy wise, there just wasn't much out there. There were Bendums, and that was it.
Yeah. And this is you can't order stuff on the internet yet.
No.
And it is pure hunt, obsessive hunting.
Which fortunately, back then it wasn't as terrible as it is right now. I don't remember looking at the list. And for the listeners, if you want to kind of follow along, we're looking at JediTempleArchives.com at the Power of the Force 2 section. Tonight, we're only going to be covering the red card or the red lightsaber releases, the very first of the relaunch. But our normal sites like rebelscum.com and figurerealm.com, just the listings were not complete or accurate at all. So we're at Jedi Temple Archives, which is actually a great site just to tool around and end up spending a bunch of money on eBay if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So I don't recall looking at this list right now, and we're going to run down everything here. I don't remember there being anything that I had a real struggle finding. I feel like this stuff, once it did hit retail, was pretty easy to get.
Yeah, the only thing I remember hunting really hard were the long lightsaber variants.
See, I didn't care about that, and I remember people caring about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Matter of fact, the manager and the district manager that I mentioned before, they wanted to have all of them men on card. The long lightsaber, the short lightsaber. I think Luke, they maybe changed his hair color at some point or another, just like they did with the original line.
I think there was something with Lando's cape. I can't remember what it was, but there was some sort of running change with that Lando.
That sounds right, too. I wonder if maybe on one of them, the inside of the cape was brown, and one of them, it was more metallic. Does that sound like?
Yeah, that sounds right.
But I just wanted one of every character. Well, no, back then I was all in. I wanted one of every figure. And I don't remember being a real issue to find. But here's a weird thing that I remembered while I was looking at this. So if you remember, Batman Forever came out the same year, came out in 95.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, this is what an insane toy lunatic person I am. To this day, I remember a dream I had about going into KB Toys. And you know how you'd go into KB and you'd go down the aisles and then they'd have that back wall. And then it would turn and go back a little bit further. But there was that one back wall that was like closer, probably where the storeroom was or something. I had a vivid dream about finding these Star Wars figures and the Batman Returns figures. And they were on the same shape and size card backs. Like they had different art on them. Like or not Batman Returns, Batman Forever. Batman Forever card back, Star Wars card back. Didn't look anything like what either of these lines ended up looking like. But I still to this day remember this vivid dream of finding all these figures and just loading them all into one of those little hand basket things and bringing them up front.
I was trying to remember, what was the retail price on these? Were they $4.99?
I feel like $4.99. I wonder if it might be listed on here because some of the sites, Rebel Scum is good about doing original. Yeah, $4.99.
Yeah.
So $5, which I don't remember how I felt about the price. Do you remember? I don't remember thinking they were particularly expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were expensive, but, my crap McDonald's job, like a lot of the money definitely went to this. And my parents were very confused when I got some like shelf off the side of the road and put it in my room, like a old bookcase to put this stuff on.
Yeah, I was, my mom got me for Christmas that year, that 4-pack that they did of the classic edition figures that were made from, if I remember right, they weren't made from the tooling that made the Kenner figures, but they were made from the Kenner figures. Like they made new tooling using the Kenner figures. So they're different. They have obviously 95 is the date on them. But it's the 4-pack of Luke, Han, Darth Vader, and Chewbacca. And it came in that nice box with those wide vision cards.
Oh, yeah.
But because they weren't in the same, they didn't have the same aesthetics as the 95 figures, I left them in the box forever. And I had them up until a few years ago, and I don't remember if I sold them or what I did.
I remember that one was an exclusive, and it was
a Toys R Us exclusive.
And I was definitely like, that's right before I can drive, so I had to like get rides from friends and convince them to take me to Toys R Us. And most of my punk rock friends were not real interested in going to Toys R Us.
Right, that was toy collecting in 1995 for people over 13 was not quite the same as it is today.
It was not. It was definitely not a cool thing to do.
No, it wasn't. So that 4-pack though, if you go on eBay now, you can still get that for a pretty reasonable price, and it's a nice looking piece. Like if you get it mint on box or mint in box, it looks cool. But so we knew one way or another, probably from like Tomart or whatever, that these were coming. Mm-hmm. And once they arrived, I want to say that I didn't love the muscular, wide-legged stance look, but I bought them all.
Oh yeah.
Because what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking like, all right, this is ridiculous, but like, still, I'm buying them all. And that stupid Obi-Wan, I have vivid memories of trying to make that jerk stand up because of the stance he was in, and he just was such a pain, and he would always rest on his
the front of his robes. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember because they did share, Batman Returns, going back to that again, also from Kenner, had similar aesthetics to this line, but I'm trying to figure out what else at the time, like what inspired Kenner to go with these designs over the more traditional straight arm, straight leg, easy to sit down.
Yeah, I kind of like looked up what was coming out in 95 to kind of see, because I thought the same thing. Like, why did they decide to do this? And I don't know. I mean, McFarlane has started in 94. McFarlane Toys.
Gosh, was it really 94?
95 is when they first come out. They found the company in 94.
Wow.
But, those Marvel Universe toys at that point were kind of winding down. They had gone through the classics and the Fantastic Four and all that stuff, and it was kind of crappy. The team up packs, if you remember those, they were doing those.
Right.
But I was trying to think, DC, is the Extreme Justice stuff coming out then?
Oh, what the heck was that called? Was it Extreme Justice? Is that what that line was called?
I don't remember.
With the snap-on armor pieces and everything?
Yeah.
No, it's not Extreme Justice. What the heck is it called? What I love is when we're trying to think of something, and I know listeners are sitting out there yelling at us because they know exactly what it is. Justice League figures, 1995. Total Justice. Okay, but are these 95? But yeah, you're right. This is a very, obviously size-wise they're different, but they do have that posed wide leg stance. Mm-hmm. But I feel like...
What's G.I. Joe doing in 95?
95, is G.I. Joe Extreme out yet?
I mean, I feel just as a society in 1995, we were pretty extreme.
That's true. Things were definitely getting extreme. We can thank Image Comics. Okay, so G.I. Joe Extreme was in 95. Because technically Real American Hero line pretty much went away in 94.
Yeah, I think he hit it probably has a lot to do with the comics coming out around then too.
Yeah. All of the Image stuff happening. Everything was much more dynamic. And, again, to go back to adult toy collecting at the time, the people designing these toys were not considering adults at all. Nowadays, whatever toy manufacturers want to say, the adult collector is in mind with everything that's designed. But back then, these were 100% kids buying them because there were no cell phones, there was no YouTube, there was nothing to distract kids from playing with toys. So the design, I believe the intent with these was to make them look dynamic and exciting. And they had things, not only were the figures posed in more dynamic ways, but they had the deluxe figures
Ugh.
that I love them. You don't like the deluxe figures?
I cannot remember if I owned these deluxe figures or not.
I 100% had them. I love the what is the word that they use for it? The off-screen stuff.
Oh,
The things that take the aesthetics of Star Wars, like the old mini rigs.
Mm-hmm.
I loved those things, man. And these deluxe figures kind of reminded me of that ideal, the crowd control stormtrooper with the big, claw. Oh, you know what else was out now? The Alien and Predator figures.
Oh, yeah.
We're out now because
those are kind of muscly too, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. The space or colonial Marines in that line were all, again, this same sort of style. But looking at this crowd control stormtrooper, he's got an X-wing laser on one arm. He's got an awesome giant claw thing, which is what made me think of the Alien and Predator line, because it looks like something one of the Marines would have had. And then this giant like jetpack thing on his back. But the deco on the figure is really cool because he's got this like sandy deco on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's probably baked into the plastic. I don't think that's actually deco. Well, yeah, I don't know. That might be deco, but like, I liked that. I thought that was cool and fun.
I just imagine does this like stormtrooper just like pinch somebody and then blast off and drop them and control the crowd real fast?
That sounds like something the Empire would do.
Yeah.
And then the Han Solo with the smugglers. What the heck is this called?
The smuggler
flight pack, which is bizarre because it also has a giant pincher claw thing.
I'm glad to see he has a good safety harness though.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, out of all of these figures, most of them, putting their poses or whatever aside, most of them are pretty much just what they look like in the movies. But this Han with this extra harness on is a massive departure. I don't think any of these other initial figures or really very many figures since have had something that on the character itself that's just straight up wacky, not canon.
Yeah, and that harness is tooled. They would never do that these days.
No, that would be an additional piece that you would put on.
Yeah.
And then Luke Skywalker with the desert sports skiff, which was probably the most reasonable one because it's basically like a jet ski for the sand.
Yeah, I think I did have that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes the most sense, I think. If you look at it, you really could sort of see Luke tooling around Tatooine on this thing, like the T-16's in the shop. Mm-hmm. So he hops on his desert sport. I don't know why'd they throw the word sport in there though.
Well, you've already got a desert skiff. This is like the S model.
So yeah, I liked that stuff, and I think it's cool that this initially with this relaunch, they're already doing interesting and creative things that are a little outside of what people might expect. But as far as the regular figures themselves, the first wave, you can't argue it's a classic lineup. Obi-Wan, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, R2-D2, and the Stormtrooper. We've already talked about the Obi-Wan and his disastrous problem standing. And what's funny, though, is he's a pretty good figure. And what's exciting about these is the lightsabers. When we were kids, you had two different kinds of lightsabers. You had one that telescoped out of the arm and, it was a neat little feature, but looked terrible. And then you had the one like what came with X-Wing pilot Luke and Jedi Luke that were just the solid color. Like they didn't even have different colored hilts or anything. They weren't translucent. Like that was it, right?
Yeah.
We never got, and in the old line, there was never a Darth Vader with a separate lightsaber. The only Vader they made was the telescoping lightsaber, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's not another one.
So at the time in 95, it was really exciting to be getting these figures with the lightsabers that were not just separate pieces, but also had these painted hilts on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though some of them were like crazy longer than the other ones. Now, did you track down the long and short?
I had the Obi-Wan long lightsaber, and that's the only one I ever got.
So here's what kind of lunatic I am. I just now remembered this since we've been talking about it. I got the long saber versions of Obi-Wan. Let's see. I guess Obi-Wan, Luke, and Vader all came with a lightsaber, right? Yes, they did. Okay, so I must have gotten the first batch because I had the long saber versions of all three of those. I cut the lightsabers to make them the right length. Because it was insane. Those lightsabers were as tall, if not taller, than the figures.
Oh yeah, they were great.
They were crazy, and I wish I hadn't. I wouldn't have them now anyway, so it wouldn't matter either way. And I can probably go buy them for less than $10 now. So whatever.
Oh yeah.
So 3PO, very not now. He's got his weird wide-legged stance, but pretty nice update because he's still got the vac metal at this point. But in addition to that, he actually has not as detailed as they would get later on, but sculpted wires in his midsection.
Yep.
That black midsection was definitely an upgrade over the original C-3PO figure. But I remember this guy, I feel like his arms and legs got crazy loose after like a day.
They did, especially the arms. And you could, if I remember right, you could remove the arms and legs on it pretty easily.
Could you on this one?
I think so. But if it wasn't this one, the other one, they put out.
I think that's the next one. I think next one had the removable arms and legs. I don't think this one did.
I can't remember. I just remember weirdly about the 3PO figure, and it might have been the other one, that I definitely used my teeth to get the arm off when it was stuck, and there was a weird texture to this figure. Like, I vividly remember what this figure felt like in my mouth.
That's awesome. So 3PO looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Not too outlandish. And then we get to big, bad, beefy Chewbacca. Wow.
I often think, which is my favorite beefy figure? And Chewbacca might be it. Because he's like a Sasquatch.
Man. And look at the head on this guy. Massive. You know what? He almost looks like Teen Wolf.
Yeah. And, I think I remember, like, I hadn't watched the movies too much recently at this. Like, I have my VHS copies, but I wasn't watching them like super regularly.
Right.
And I remember watching like the special editions and maybe on the VHS. I can't remember being like, man, Chewbacca's really skinny. Like, I forgot.
No. Yeah. Same deal. I remember that. And I don't know exactly when it was, because I'm looking at it right now. I've got the old VHS 3-pack that I got one year for Christmas when I was a kid. I don't know what year. You know what? Hang on just a second. I'm gonna grab it. I can reach it. Oh no, I can't reach it. Okay. So for the listeners, on May the 4th, I have a special review going up on the Needless Things YouTube channel of the Carbon Freezing Chamber Vintage Collection playset, or of two of them rather. And I cannot reach my Star Wars VHS right now because the entire extra table I had to bring into this room just to put this damn thing on, is in the way. So I cannot reach my VHSs. But anyway, the VHS tapes that I had when I was a kid, the pre-special edition ones, that's all I had. But like you, at one point, I watched and was like, man, Chewbacca's skinny.
Yeah.
And it's because we spent, it's funny how over the years, different iterations of different characters kind of get stuck in your head. Like, we had this conversation about Bruce Campbell on one of the other episodes where you look at Bruce Campbell figures and you're like, well, that likeness isn't right. But then you go back and watch Evil Dead 2, and it's because your brain has messed with you over the years because you know what Bruce Campbell looks like now and what he's looked like for the past 20 years. But then when you go watch Evil Dead 2, the brain doesn't remember that's what he looked like. It's like done an amalgamation of him over the years.
Yeah.
And so we had this beefy Chewie in our heads for years. So yeah, this is an absolutely terrible figure. I do like that they attempted to get the different coloration in his fur, though. Like, that's pretty cool. That's something new. But his bandolier it's tiny. It looks terrible. The bowcaster is just bizarre. And if I remember, I don't feel like he could hold it very well.
No, he couldn't. The arm shoulder thing always interfered with how he held it.
Yeah. So not a great Chewbacca, but we bought it.
Yeah, they did.
Vader, again, super beefy, but I mean, really pretty good Vader.
Yeah, not terrible. And, if I was building a robot body, I'd, accentuate a little bit.
Right?
Come on, Steve, give me a little muscle.
If you're building a robot body, are you going for Manute Bol or are you going for Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
I'm going for Brock Lesnar, and clearly so is Kenner. Darth Lesnar. But the cool thing about this figure is the way that they got some of the glosses, like the helmet is glossy and the armor on his shoulder and chest piece has like a glossy paint job to it. There's a little more detail on the chest panel and on the belt, and the boots nice and glossy too. Like, visually, this one is not as ridiculous as some of the other ones, although again, beefy. So this Han Solo, very important character. What were your first thoughts upon seeing this Han Solo?
Oh gosh.
Aside from his gigantic blaster.
And his barrel chest. Looking back at these, like the face sculpts on Obi-Wan and Han and Luke are surprisingly not as terrible as I remember.
Yeah.
I feel like that face sculpt wouldn't be too out of line not too long ago before face scanning started.
Well, imagine this exact sculpt, but with the digital printing technology that they're doing now.
Yeah, I bet it would be decent.
Yeah, it would. This is not bad. I mean, this is not, these aren't scans. These are all like hand sculpted from not digital references, but like literal pictures of the actors, like a very different process back then than what we have now. What bugged me. Okay. Well, the first thing about this one was why the fuck are his pants blue?
Yeah.
Because in 1995, we didn't know his pants were supposed to be blue. Just like, we'll have to save that one. But some of the coloration, and even his shirt being off-white was weird instead of just a pure white. It's that off-white color. And this is the era where we Star Wars nerds really started to dig into things and look at like what color were these things actually.
The Hoth argument remains to this day.
Right, exactly. Is it blue or is it brown? Nobody knows. So yeah, this one's the only thing that really, really bothers me about this one is that left arm sticking way out like that. What the heck is that all about?
I have no idea.
And I guess maybe it's almost like doing his class, that Han Solo firing his gun. It sort of could be that.
Yeah, maybe that's what they were going for, because they kind of on one of the pictures seem to be attempting that with the giant blaster that must weigh 60 pounds.
And that thing is massive. That's ridiculous. Let's see. So, I just lost my my spot. Okay, we're back. So we get Han, and now Oh, geez, I'm down in the greens now. We can't go green yet. It's not time.
We're to beefy Luke.
Yeah, beefy Luke with his nice. I feel like they got the hair pretty nice on this one. I don't know about that face though.
Yeah, his face. And Hamill, I mean, I guess he's a hard one to get because even now they still struggle with him.
Yeah, they do. We have only recently, I think the first really that I could say, wow, that's a good likeness on a Mark Hamill is the Dagobah one that came with Yoda.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I think that's the first time I looked at the figure and was really like, okay, yeah, that looks like him.
Yeah.
Like in the whole history of Star Wars toys.
I also don't remember Luke showing so much cleavage. That is
I don't remember Luke having so much cleavage. Look at those pectoral muscles on that guy.
Apparently moisture farming is tough work. And really gets you going. This is definitely like porn star farm boy Luke.
This is the what was the Star Horrors from Zack and Miri?
He's definitely coming to check on your moisture evaporator.
So he came with the lightsaber, which may or may not be too long, and this rifle, which is probably supposed to be the rifle that, in recent years they've gotten accurate, that really long when he snaps to the side of the land speeder. I'm guessing that's what this is supposed to be.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know what that is. And it's definitely not the rifle on the package. I mean, he should come with a E11, but
right. He should come with the standard Stormtrooper rifle, but I don't know what that is because it really doesn't even look like it could be pretending to be that long rifle.
Yeah,
from Tatooine. So this one's pretty egregious. I don't think I can give this a pass.
No.
But again, we're seeing detail here that the original Luke figure kind of didn't make clear, like that he's got, that these are like pants and boots. I remember something about this seeming very different to me, although it really looks more like tights here. Mm-hmm. Is this repurposed from like a Robin Hood figure? Is that what we've got going on here?
Is he the Prince of Thieves?
It might be the Prince of Skeeves. Princess Leia.
Oof.
You. Oh my gosh.
They never got her right.
She looks awfully like Eastern European.
Those are some eyebrows right there. You know who she looks like in Dodgeball?
Yes, that's who I was trying to think of. I couldn't think I could picture her face, but I couldn't think what she was from. That's exactly what this looks like. Wow.
That's definitely a male head sculpt. They show some buns on the top of.
Yeah, this is brutal, and all the flowing cape and skirt that don't even look right. Like, just this is no good. And I think this one was extremely difficult to stand up as well.
Oh yeah, she was impossible.
Oh man, go check out the pictures without the skirt on. The bow legs.
Oh, apparently she had some time with Farm Boy Luke.
Wow. This is there is nothing nice. Okay, no, I take it back because she does have the correct little blaster there. So that's nice. Look. But then this other one, what is this? What is this other?
Look at the side profile of her, by the way.
Oh gosh.
All right, that's the current. Well, I don't know what that gun is.
Yeah, that's nothing we've ever seen. And again, it should have just been a Stormtrooper rifle.
Yeah.
Woof. Okay, well, thanks for trying. Good. I can't even say good effort.
Nope.
All right, let's see here. That brings us to R2-D2, hard to mess up. And this is another one that was legit just a phenomenal improvement over the original Kenner figure because all of his details are sculpted now. It's not a sticker anymore.
Yeah, some decent back metal. And this one, and I'm interested to see what you say about it. So this one, you pulled the third leg down. It wasn't the twist helmet, right?
Right. It's got if you look at the back, it has that little tab at the bottom, and you just pull that third leg down, which I never had. If I'm remembering right, the original Kenner line, the only way you got the third leg, because they did make one that plugged into the bottom of that original R2, but it came with the Droid Factory. I don't think...
I did not have it.
No, I didn't have that either. I'm trying because they made the R2 with the telescoping sensor deal, where you twist his head and the sensor thing comes out. Or wait, did you even do that, or did you just pull it up? I don't even remember now. But that one didn't have the third leg. And then they made the one from Jedi that had Luke's lightsaber hilt that I don't think it shot. I never had it, so I don't remember if it. I don't think it shot out. I think you could just telescope it out.
Yeah, I think it just telescoped out.
But I don't believe that had. And look, for the listeners who are maybe sitting there yelling at us right now, we're not going to go look this up because we're not talking about Kenner. This is about, or we're not talking about the original Kenner line. This is about the 95 series. And, these are the things that I'm thinking about now. And I was probably thinking about in 95. And in 95, I couldn't just go look on the internet to see what those Kenner toys looked like back in the day. So this is the conversation I like to have, where we use sort of our own memories of these things rather than sitting down and going to some,
Wikipedia.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I couldn't go just look at my old figures. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I certainly didn't have that as an option.
So I definitely prefer the pull down leg versus the twist they did later.
The twist got better. It got, because when they first did the twist, I think you twisted the head and then it just had to stay wherever it was.
Yeah, that's what made me crazy about it.
But later on, they improved that to where you could keep twisting it all the way around so you could line his eye up in the front. But I think you're right. Is the first time they did it with the twisting, like they didn't, his head wouldn't line up, so it didn't look right. But yeah, the pull down, I mean, I like the pull down leg as well. But this one didn't have a hinge. I think it was, so it couldn't be really posed.
Yeah.
It was just, it came down and that's just how it was. But still, excellent R2-D2. Probably, I mean, just because they couldn't really make him beefy in any way. like what if his legs were all like roided out?
They're designing it like Trogdor, and they're like, and a beefy arm comes out.
But this one, legit, unquestionable upgrade over the original release. The sculpted details, fantastic. All the paint, the light piping, he's got in the top there. Just excellent R2-D2 figure. Like, to this day, you could get this R2-D2 and put it in your vintage collection, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
Although I'd be interested to see scale-wise how it lines up.
If I remember, it's too big.
Which is weird because usually R2 is too small.
Yeah, I think he's bigger.
Interesting. I might have to track one of those down just to check it out. Like, as we're looking at these, there is a little, and I got rid of this whole collection years and years ago.
I got rid of this collection 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. That recent.
Yeah, it sat in a tote forever. And it was one of those things where I knew I was never going to put this back out.
Yeah.
And it was just in this tote. So I took it to the thrift store, and then I gave it to them. And then I would go back sometimes and watch and just see people like find these bags, like kids find these giant bags of Star Wars. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
The only thing I regret about getting rid of this collection is the vehicles. The figures I have zero regrets about any of them. We'll actually talk about one of these in just a minute that I do still have. But I do wish I still had these vehicles, because those, even though there's better, more modern stuff now, those do still hold up pretty well. So next up on the figure front, Stormtrooper, which, you know what? Not bad. He's not posed too ridiculously badly. I think I remember he stood up just fine.
Yeah.
Comes with the Stormtrooper blaster and then kind of a bigger rifle that I believe is made up, but looks fine.
Yeah, it looks Star Warsy enough.
Right. He's got the 011 on his back. Like everything that you need a Stormtrooper to be is here, but he does have a very slender waist and a very big chest.
I don't know exactly how you get into this armor if this is your body type, but I am sure there are members of the 501st that could explain that process.
I bet. You know what I'd like to see? I would like to see a costume of this armor, like walking around. That would be hilarious with like the big arms and legs and the little waist. Like I'd like to see somebody make it in the bulbous helmet with like the rounded bottom. I'd like to see somebody, because it would have to be bigger than a human to look like this.
So you do that, and I'll do Luke Skywalker with an open shirt and a lightsaber bigger than my body.
The giant lightsaber. That would be so awesome. Oh, man, I want to see some Power of the Force cosplay. That would be fantastic.
I don't think I have the muscles for it.
I
definitely do not have muscles for it.
I don't think anybody has the muscles for it. So Wave 2, which... Okay, I feel like maybe Wave 2 and 3 came out at the same time. Like Wave 1 came out with some of the vehicles. I don't remember which vehicles came out first.
I feel like the AT-ST is the first vehicle.
Which is such an odd choice, and unfortunately... Let me see if I can look, because they don't have pictures of the AT-ST on here.
I'll always remember the AT-ST because it's the one that's got the button on the back with the spring so you can make it walk. And I messed with that thing forever. And you can kind of click them into place.
Okay, Power of the Force, Imperial AT-ST. Okay, this is it, red box, because I wanted to see if this was... the indoor version or the Hoth version, because they put different deco on them depending on what it is. And this looks like the indoor version. But what's funny about the vehicles is they did not come with figures then. So there's no AT-ST driver. They just have a straight up Stormtrooper sitting in this thing. But all of these vehicles were slight retoolings of the original vehicles. Because that original Kenner AT-ST had the button on the back to make the legs go. I mean, this is that vehicle basically just with updated stickers. And I believe it had, I'm trying to look, I can't tell on the box art here. I was thinking it had like a muddy deco on the feet, but maybe not. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of a loose one, but I don't know how. It's hard to find anything reliable online.
Yeah, it does have the muddy feet.
Okay.
I found one.
Okay. So that's what I thought. So this is just an update of the original, which was a great vehicle. It has the double opening cockpit. It's got the wide, the big piece that opens up, but then the little hatch in the middle of that. It's got the blaster on top. It's got the functional legs with the little button. This is a solid vehicle. And again, even though we've got a larger scale AT-ST now that looks a little better, again, this could fit into your modern collection. Like, this is well done. It's just a good toy. So you think that... okay, what about the...
Was it the land speeder too? Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I feel like the land speeder... Gosh, how do they not have pictures of the land speeder? Let's see here.
There it is. Yeah, it was definitely the first wave.
It was really stubby, if I'm remembering right. Everything, I hate Google because anytime you look something up, all you get is stuff for sale. Like, it never takes you news or anything, or maybe that's just me because I spend too much damn money on toys. Let's see. I really want to get a better look at this thing.
Yeah, sealed 95. It was the first. Now you can get a sealed one for $29.
Yeah, most of this stuff is very inexpensive. Like if you wanted to make a Power of the Force collection, it would be a very easy collection to put together and not terribly expensive, especially compared to other things.
Oh, here we go. So the first on the back of the box of the land speeder is the TIE Fighter, the X-Wing, and the Falcon.
Okay, where'd you find the land speeder?
On eBay.
Oh, okay. Well, for sale, obviously. Where else would it be? Thanks, Internet.
I like how it has shift action running gear is the big action feature it has, which I'm pretty sure just means those crappy little wheels it was on.
Well, it had, again, this was basically just a slight retooling of the original. And if you remember, it has the gear shift in between the seats that you would move it up and the wheels would come out a little bit.
Yep.
So it was bouncier. And then when you put them down, what was even the purpose of that? Why do you even need the wheels to be up or down?
I have no idea. I guess when you park to see your aunt and uncle are dead. Sure.
I think, yeah. If your shocks are no good, your aunt and uncle's surprise is going to be an even worse shock. I don't know which mode was supposed to be go and which mode was supposed to be park. But I feel like when you had the wheels extended further out, it was bouncier. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was park mode. Because if you look in the movies, when they get in and out of it, it kind of bounces around a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when you shift them down, you retract the wheels up into it a little bit. That's when it just rolls across the floor and doesn't do a whole lot of bouncing. I guess that's it.
My thing with the lane speeder, and look, I've got a Black Series lane speeder. I've had many versions of the lane speeder. The lane speeder sucks. Like,
what? Get out of here!
It is the most non-fun toy.
Oh man, I like the land speeder. Now, okay, so and we'll you brought it up, so we got to talk about it. I've got the vintage collection land speeder, whatever the last one they did was. It's nice and long. It's scaled pretty accurately. It has that rifle that we were talking about before, that long rifle that clips onto the side.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Everybody can fit in it. That Black Series land speeder I picked up on clearance, just like everybody else did. That and Ray's speeder or whatever. Got them for like $8 a piece or whatever. That Black Series land speeder is hilariously stubby and short.
It is nowhere near as long as it should be.
No, not at all. So like that, and it is a struggle to get Luke and Obi-Wan into that thing, let alone put any droids on the back. But I always liked the original land speeder, and again, that is you could get the figures right into it, no problem. These Power of the Force, try getting that Obi-Wan into this thing. Are you kidding me? Even with his robes completely off, which, by the way, what kind of lunatic gets naked to hop in the land speeder?
Come here, kid.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, getting the figures into this land speeder was not really going to happen. I remember Luke didn't fit in there very well at all. And that was a big problem with this iteration, was that these big, bulky, beefy figures with these wide legs and arms all jacked out to the side or whatever did not fit in the original vehicle tooling, because those vehicles were made for the slender, rational figures.
Right, the legs that went at the 90 degrees
right
in front of them. Versus...
And the arms that just went straight down to the side.
Yeah.
Like, these vehicles were not made for these dynamic figures. And later on in the line, they would fix that, and it was fine. But that was very frustrating initially, is that this stuff didn't work together, like the Millennium Falcon, which, again, massive upgrade to the original Millennium Falcon. all of the deco on this thing is just fantastic. It looked, I don't think I realized when it came out that it was just the old Falcon with new paint and stickers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I realized that.
Because it feels vastly different.
Yeah, it was a much sturdier plastic. Everything seemed to, like that hatch on the back where it opened up, just seemed sturdier. Everything about it just seemed like a new toy. But these figures didn't fit in it. And the cockpit, like you could put Han or Chewie in the cockpit, and that was it.
I remember being really impressed because this is the first one that the sounds were decent.
Yes, because when we were kids, the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter and the Millennium Falcon, when you press the button, they kind of went,
Yep.
Which is no noise that, what's his name? Ben Burt, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
No noise that he ever designed. Yeah, these had actual movie sounds, and it was, having that Millennium Falcon breakdown sound was awesome.
The ramp on this thing always cracked me up because no one's going in that ramp. Like you could like shove somebody in there.
No, not at all. The figures couldn't even stand underneath this. But again, updated deco, updated stickers, just it looks great. And I really, really do wish I still had this Millennium Falcon. I
actually may have this Millennium Falcon still.
Really?
I've got a couple of these vehicles left. I know I have the X-Wing. I may have the Falcon. I'll have to look. Because some of the vehicles,
man.
Yeah, some of these vehicles survived because I just gave the figures.
Oh, okay.
Store because I stored the vehicles upstairs.
Oh, I got you. Let's see. We've got. Let's move on with the figures a little bit because I think. Well, we have the TIE Fighter. Let's talk about the TIE Fighter. Again, same old TIE Fighter, but I don't think it had any. It didn't have light or sound.
No, and it's blue. God, that drove me nuts.
Was it?
Remember, it's that weird. It's not the gray it should be. It's like a weird, like gray blue.
Yeah. That's coming back to me now, and I didn't think about it until I was looking at this picture, but you're right. The color is bizarre.
And they were all that way. When they did Vader's TIE Advanced, it was that weird kind of not stone gray. It's got that blue tint to it.
Well, and that was another mind-blowing moment is the first time I saw a white TIE Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why is this white? But they are.
Mm-hmm.
You just, again, back then, we didn't have constant, immediate access to these movies and stills and images and all this kind of stuff. So, like, not knowing what color a TIE Fighter was not crazy.
Yeah.
But the big upgrade here is the wings are sculpted rather than stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a huge deal because the stickers on the original TIE Fighters never looked good.
No. They never lasted, ever.
So I think you're right. I think those were the first waves. Well, you said it was on the back of the land speeder. So those were our first wave of vehicles. The X-Wing, was that later?
No, the X-Wing's listed as that first.
Oh, is in the first as well?
Yeah.
And I remember because the original Kenner X-Wing, it's a cool toy, but it's just not. I think this one it still doesn't have the socket for R2.
No, it was a solid piece.
Yeah, it's still the push down. You push down on R2's dome, and that deploys the X-Wings. And then it's got the little lever on the back to close it back up. Here we go. Here's a good picture of the box. Oh, I like how on the box because X-Wing pilot Luke wasn't out yet,
Yeah.
they've got farm boy Luke piloting the X-Wing. That's great. 2 real movie sounds, which is awesome. They do accurately they've removed the light bulb from the nose cone, which is how the original X-Wing was. That little light bulb in the nose cone lit up as though that's where the lasers came from. But on this box art, they actually have the lasers coming from the laser guns, which when I was a kid, I didn't even realize that's where the lasers came from, because on the toy, it's that light bulb.
Yep.
And then again, at some point you watch the movies and you're like, the lasers come out of the wings.
So the one I'm looking at has the price tag still on it. This thing was $29.99.
No kidding.
That's some serious McNugget money.
Yeah, that's pretty pricey. So I wonder how much the Millennium Falcon was.
I don't know. I wonder if I can find.
I bet Rebel Scum has that listed, or actually Figure Realm might be good for that.
How much was Power of the Force?
Because if that was 30, I got to think the Millennium Falcon was 50.
I think it was.
And that's $50 in 1995 was a lot of scratch.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that thing in the box goes for $500.
That X-Wing?
Oh, no, that's the Falcon.
Oh, well, that still seems kind of crazy. Let's see. Star Wars, out of the 8,000 Star Wars listings, 1995, Power of the Force 2. Let's find oh man, this includes all of the 12-inch figures. See, this is why we couldn't use Figure Realm, because they just lump everything together.
Mm-hmm.
They don't split it up at all. Very difficult to find. And also they have hideous ads.
Yeah, here's a buy one like new in the box for $240. It's not
Gosh, oof. I don't want one that bad.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Force Awakens might have it.
Yeah, I really want to know the original price on that Falcon. Because I'm trying to think what else was $50 in 1995, to have some kind of comparison.
Yeah, it's just so many like vintage. You can buy it now. Here we go.
Oh gosh, here are the play sets. I need to save this page because I am excited to talk about these.
Oh, well, I can't find it. It cost more money than I had. I know that. And somehow I got it.
Okay, here we go. Millennium Falcon Electronic, which again, this is why we couldn't use Figure Realm, because this listed as 1996. Oh, I thought they had original price on here and they don't. All right, well, forget it. We're just going to say it was probably about $50.
Which makes sense because the new ones are around 100, right? 150-ish.
What's that?
The Falcon. How much is that new Falcon?
The most recent vintage collection Falcon?
Mm-hmm.
It's $400.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Well, that in between one. I feel like there was one for $100 for a little while. I forgot that Target thing was $400.
The first vintage collection Millennium Falcon that came out in 2010, I think it was. I want to say it was $175.
God, is that much? That makes sense. This one would be around $50.
And then they reissued it a couple of years later, and I think it was $250.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one, which is actually an upgrade because it includes the sequel trilogy radar dish, was $400 at Target. Although people found it marked down. I don't know if anybody ever found it down to 50% off, but I was telling anybody who might be even slightly interested to get it if they found it, because it's probably the best toy I own.
Yeah, I've seen that thing. It's amazing.
Even over like the sail barge, or I just, that Millennium Falcon it's iconic. It's so well executed, and beyond being the central vehicle of the entire Star Wars saga as we know it right now, it is a marvel of toy engineering. So it's like, it's beyond just being, I've got Han Solo's ship. it's a landmark in toys. Which the 95 Millennium Falcon, you know what? It could be considered to be, just because the fact that they upgraded that old tooling in such an efficient way is cool. I like it. All right. So, well, we've only got one more vehicle to look at. Oh, we've got two more. We've got the Rebel Snowspeeder, which, again, we don't have a listing for, but at the time, I wasn't super excited about snow speeders for some reason. When I was a kid, I loved it. I loved the way the blasters lit up on the original snow speeder was so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this one. I've always been a big fan of the snow speeder, and that Black Series one, if you get a chance to ever get it or see it, it's really great. Yeah.
What's so weird about the modern collection is they've done like 3 different toolings, or for the classic scale, they've done like 3 different toolings of the snow speeder. It's bizarre. There's one that's like too big. There's another one that's the right size, but it seems like it's too small, but it isn't. And then there's one that's, I think, based off of this tooling that they just did a lot of paint on. A really weird history. I'd be interested in looking at sort of the history of the snow speeder as a toy, because I feel like there's a lot of inconsistency with size and detail and everything else on this one. But the 95 snow speeder, for some reason, I mean, I had it, but for some reason, I just wasn't that interested in it at the time. I wonder, let me try and look this up, because I'm wondering if the cannons worked differently, if they lit up differently than the original, because that would have put me off a little bit if they did. Let's see here. Of course, eBay, first thing that pops up. Thanks, Internet. Oh, for a dead listing. That's really helpful. Vintage. I like that they're calling 1995 stuff vintage. Was Action Fleet around in 95? That's not right, is it?
It might have been.
Oh my gosh. Force Awaits. Okay, so Star Wars 1995 Kenner Power of the Force Snow Speeder. We're looking at forceawaits.com right now.
Gosh, it looks, they light up on the sides, like on the barrels.
Well, that's what the original did that as well, but they had these like,
I think the tips were that clear.
I don't remember there being this much deco on this one. I like how this looks like it's like the damaged, crashed one.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the size of the grapple gun on the back.
Got to make room for that action feature.
Yeah, right. But it does have the double cockpit. I don't know, this one, I'm sure it is just, again, retooling of the original, but it looks so significantly different from the original one.
Yeah.
And I guess it's all the paint.
Yeah.
This actually looks better than I remembered it looking. Or maybe it's just these pictures on the wonderful forceawaits.com. Oh my gosh, they've got one shot of Power of the Force X-Wing Luke sort of strutting out to the snowspeeder. That's incredible. For the listeners, go check out forceawaits.com for great pictures of this snowspeeder and this crazy bow-legged Luke. All right, so this is another upgrade. I think it looks pretty good. I wish the cannons worked the same way as the original. I mean, I know they light up, but the original had this sort of dots of light in them. I don't know. It had a very unique look to it that was not movie accurate, but for me, for a toy, it looked really cool.
Yeah.
And then we have the Imperial speeder bike. Exact same deal, just with a different paint job, but you press the little sort of bundle, the
stick in the back. That's what I was, that weird little stick. Down the bottom.
Press that, it explodes. And we've got the Biker Scout who has knee joints.
Yeah, fancy.
And this is the only vehicle that came with a figure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess you just have to have the Biker Scout to go with the
Yeah, I had a couple of these. I remember buying several of these.
I think I just bought the one, but I don't think it took them too long to release these with Luke and Leia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
like
think
not
they were
more than a couple of years.
Yeah, they were green card, so I think it was the next year or two.
Yeah. But looks good. I mean, the bike itself, the speeder bike looks fantastic. And again, could go right in your collection. Well, the handlebars are a little bulky compared to what they've done recently. But as far as the deco goes, this thing looks fantastic. And the bending knees on the Biker Scout Trooper are great.
It was a feat of toy engineering back then.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, for this line, for sure.
Yeah.
And you've got the little handlebar with the spring-loaded. That's kind of funny. Okay, so if I'm remembering right, the original speeder bike, they just sat on it, like with their legs straight out in front of them, and that handlebar right there, you pulled it up and put their legs under it, and that's what held them on, right?
I think you're right.
Because they couldn't straddle it.
Here it is.
The original figures couldn't straddle the speeder bike.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So that little handlebar is what held them on.
Yep.
So because this is just that, they left the handlebar on, even though they designed the figure to be able to actually ride the bike. But the only thing this Scout Trooper is good for is riding the speeder bike, because if you look at him just standing on his own, he looks ridiculous.
He's not hanging out next to it. I think I remember having him, even they've got him leaning on it because he's not standing real well without being on his bike.
No, there's no way. So yeah, great little set. And for people who were figuring out how to relaunch Star Wars, very well done. Very cool. All right, so we've got some more figures to talk about. One of my favorites, love the design, love the character, depending on which iteration we're talking about. But Boba Fett, not quite as beefy.
No.
But this is a Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, which is interesting because it's not, at the time, I wouldn't have known the difference between what he looked like in Empire and what he looked like in Jedi. I would have had, in 1995, I would have had no idea that his costume changed as significantly as it did. And what's wacky is I'm sitting here looking at the card, and it looks like on the card, his right gauntlet is red and his left gauntlet is yellow.
Yeah.
Zoom in enough, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, on the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And so he's holding the little scene pistol that all of the modern figures have come with, but no figures prior to, I think, 2007 included that pistol. But it's right here on the card back. But then the blaster that this Boba Fett comes with is no gun that he's ever had or anybody. It's completely just made up gun here. The barrel kind of looks right, but everything about this blaster is wrong.
That shoulder guard would take your arm off.
Yeah, it would. It would pierce right through it.
Yep.
Ridiculous. I still have this Boba Fett mint on card saved from when I was buying these figures. It's up on the wall over there right now. Signed by Jeremy Bullock.
Nice.
Because I just have always loved the Boba Fett design, even before we got all these cool books about him that expanded on who he was. That armor design by Joe Johnston is just awesome.
I wish I could zoom in a little bit because I forgot they had all these file cards on the back, and I'm kind of curious what it says.
Oh, wow, you're right. Height 1.8 meters. I wish I had my glasses over here. Status bounty hunter, classification human, affiliation, freelance, weapon of choice, Mandalorian, battle armor. This
has got some EU information in it. That's what I was looking to see.
Really?
But yeah, it's got in here that the Mandalorians are evil warriors who were, I think it says, defeated by the Jedi Knights during the Clone Wars.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't even remember this line having file cards like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some old Eve info in there.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting. That'd be a whole other episode just to run down. You know what? You guys should do a special Execute Chapter 66 just about these file cards.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
We can get to it. There's so many books.
So yeah, on the card back here, we can actually see what we're talking about right now is this first wave and the first four vehicles, the Falcon, the Land Speeder, the X-Wing, and the TIE Fighter. But yeah, this Boba Fett, it's far away from the best Boba Fett figure ever, but it's again a massive upgrade over the original Fett, just the backpack alone. With the nozzles on it, the paint job, everything about it, like just really cool. We've got the Wookiee scalps and the little cape for the first time. All the colors, great looking figure for the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more deco and paint than you would remember. I was impressed by that.
And then there's Lando Calrissian with more abs than you'd remember. Look at this. What is going on with this man's torso?
I feel like Billy D. Williams had some hand in how his figure was portrayed. Look at those thighs that go into his bell bottoms.
My gosh, this is incredible. So he's got, honestly, a pretty good Billy D. Williams likeness.
Yeah.
But that torso is insane. His abs, because let's all get on the same page here. Lando Calrissian wears a floofy pirate shirt, loose fitting, like flowing, and they've depicted that in the sleeves here. But he has got pecs and abs busting out of his floofy pirate shirt.
I would love to see this blouse depicted in real life.
I can't even imagine what it would be. How would this even happen?
I have no idea.
It would almost have to be like mesh to look like this.
So he's the only one that has this. Like, why did they do that?
Nobody else had, like, they're all, they all have the narrow waist and giant shoulders, but like, he's the only one with these abs going on. This is insane.
So maybe they got to his fluffy blouse sleeves and didn't meet their muscle quota for Power of the Force. And so they had to concentrate in the chest.
That's wild. So we're looking at the cape. It looks like it's got and honestly, for the time, the cape is pretty solid because it's blue, and then it's got dark blue trim, and then the lining is like a brownish color. Mm-hmm. And I honestly can't say for sure if we're right about there being a variant in that or not. But I do feel like there was something different about this Lando. And for the listeners, if you know what it is, hit us up on Twitter, leave a comment. If you're listening to this on YouTube, whatever, let us know. I don't remember anything specific, though.
Mm-hmm. I do remember the cape threw his balance off really bad. Like it was...
Yeah, he had to lean forward to stand.
Yeah.
And then he comes with one blaster that kind of sort of looks like his blaster from the movies, and then another just giant, wacky, made-up gun. I like that they all come with two blasters, and like if you're lucky, one of them looks like something from Star Wars, but the other one never does.
Yep. I'm scanning his file card to see what other it has.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is all movie.
Okay. Well, that brings us to one of the most reasonable figures. Luke Skywalker in his pilot gear. He's still pretty buffed up, but his stance isn't insane. His arms are, and probably from the necessity of fitting him into that X-Wing, although I'm trying to remember, and I might be conflating this with Poe Dameron's X-Wing from Force Awakens, because it was very difficult to fit Poe into his X-Wing in the Force Awakens. And I'm trying to remember if this Luke would even fit into that X-Wing, but
he would, but it was tight. Like you had to squeeze the shoulders kind of weird. Like
I think you had to sort of put him in. Yeah. You had to sort of put him in sideways and then bend him at the hips and then wiggle him down, and then he would fit. But it never looked right because he was like sort of laying in there. Yeah.
And that picture they have is definitely the long lightsaber. Look at that thing.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh!
He's gonna touch
the figure.
He's gonna touch the ceiling with that thing.
I didn't remember the long lightsabers lasting into this, so maybe no, because I know Boba Fett wasn't part of the initial releases. So this was definitely at least a few months after the first figures hit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's definitely the picture they're using is the long lightsaber.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. But figure looks pretty good. He's got the straps sculpted on his legs. He's got all of the chest plate, the breathing apparatus, or whatever the heck that is on their chests. Lots of paint, sculpted detail on that. The helmet looks fantastic. I would like for it to have the visor, but whatever. We're not getting that in 1995. I think it's a really good looking figure.
Yeah. This one is not terrible.
It's not standing on modern shelves, but for the time, this is one of the best ones we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes with not only a giant lightsaber, but also Han's giant blaster. My gosh.
Oh, I remember they reused this body several times.
Yeah, they put the same body they did, I think, just a generic Rebel pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Did they even stick a wedge head on one of these? Maybe
I think they had a wedge and a Dax.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Same body. Eventually,
and I mean, for this era, for this style, why not?
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of burn through some of the rest of these because we've got 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 4 more waves. Han Solo and Hoth gear, which with the mind-blowing brown jacket.
Yeah.
And at the time, it seemed wrong. It was just bizarre because we grew up with a blue jacket action figure. But this did seem, because if you remember on the original Kenner figure, his hood was up.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, the hood is down. So big difference there. This seems he's all chunky and beefy, but aside from the brown jacket, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't hate this one.
No, it was fine.
And another giant Han blaster and a completely made up gun. Then we've got Luke and Dagobah fatigues, which, boy,
he's rough.
I feel like he had trouble standing up as well. He seemed like he leaned forward or something.
Yeah, he bends forward all the time.
Giant blaster, the deco on him. I understand this is meant to look sort of like swampy and dirty, but it just doesn't look great. Yeah, this one's not a big win. And also, even though this is the training gear, I think I just wanted the fatigues like we had on the original figure with the actual shirt on with the pockets and everything.
Yeah.
This one just seemed kind of weird and blah.
Yeah, but it came in the same wave as that Yoda that came with the backpack. Right,
so which made it a must-have.
Yep.
Because when I was a kid, I never had Yoda with the backpack.
Yeah, I didn't either.
TIE Fighter pilot, obviously you got to have him to go in the TIE Fighter, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's a decent figure. He's got that shiny black again. They did a good job with that. And, has some sculpted detail on the arm and on the chest plate that they probably could have got away with not doing.
Yeah, and the breathing apparatus is actually like separate from the chest. Like it's not all just sculpted onto the chest. It looks pretty good. I like this figure. If I was going to get a 95 TIE Fighter, I would have to get one of these to go in it just to feel right.
Yeah.
But he looks good, and he's not posed all crazy or anything.
Yep.
And then, as you mentioned, Yoda with the iconic blue backpack. He fits right into it. He comes with his walking cane, which for some reason they feel the need to call it a Geimer stick every time they refer to it in the toys. I don't know what that's all about. Let's see. What is Yoda's weapon of choice? I can't read what that's. Oh, none.
None.
Vehicle of choice, none. Affiliation, Rebel Alliance. Well, that's not accurate. Classification. Oh, what's his classification? What does that say?
Unknown.
Unknown. Wow.
I do like if you look at the Yoda on Luke's back. I mean, I think that explains why he's leaning forward. That is a giant Yoda on his back.
Wow, you're right. You're right. The Luke was sculpted to go. My gosh, I didn't remember how big that. Did I not buy this? Because I do not remember that backpack being that big.
That thing is huge.
That's insane. Wow. Well, and you know what? That Yoda is actually kind of giant.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That Yoda's head is as big as Luke's.
Yeah, bigger. This is a huge Yoda. I know I had it. There's no way I didn't buy Yoda. But I do not remember this giant backpack and this huge Yoda. Wow. What a combo this is. Bland Luke and giant Yoda. Holy cow. Okay, so we get a weird Wave 4 that only has 2 figures in it, but at the time, who knows how these were coming. Maybe a Wave 4 was a case pack of like 6 Han Solos and 6 Jedi Knight Lukes. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what the distribution was at the time. But Han Solo and Carbonite block was very exciting for me because I never had that when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this kind of goes to that where, now I had my own disposable income. I was buying all of this stuff for myself. So when I was a kid, I had to rely on my parents to get stuff. But now whatever I wanted, I was getting because I was buying it myself. But this was huge. And the Carbonite block had this like C-ring in the back of it. And the figure actually clipped into the Carbonite block. So it wasn't like it was 2 separate pieces that just had nothing to do with each other. You actually put the figure into the Carbonite block, and the sculpt of, if you look at the back of the block, the face like goes into where Han's face is sculpted out. And then the blaster is actually accurate because it's the one that Han uses to shoot the Sarlacc tentacle off of Lando. So this blaster is accurate too, although a little big, but still.
Well, if only Leia would have known, she could have just walked behind the Carbonite block and just
popped it right out.
Yeah.
It would have been so much easier.
And of course, these days, if you buy this is 2 separate figures.
Yeah, right. So again, we've got brown pants on this Han, which I think the original Endor Han had brown pants on.
Yeah.
So that wasn't as much of a shock as the blue pants on the first Han we talked about. The yellow blood stripe, and then just regular sort of off-white shirt. Not a big deal. Like this is a pretty good. This is, you know what? At this point, this is probably the best Han Solo figure that had been released.
Yeah, his arm it doesn't look like it's sticking out quite as much as it was before.
It's not as bad as that first one.
Yeah, because I don't think that would have fit in the Carbonite block.
No, it wouldn't. It would have been stuck out of the side of it.
Oh, I do remember this, though, because if you clipped him in the back, his feet don't touch the bottom. And so you couldn't, like, the Carbonite block wouldn't just stand on its own.
Oh, yeah,
it would tip back because it was not balanced.
Yeah. And it was giant.
Mm-hmm.
like way bigger than it really should have been. But that's to accommodate this big beefy figure. But still, good little set. And for $5 to get Han and the carbonite block and the relatively accurate blaster, pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the stars of the show, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, always going to be my go-to Luke. All black, glossy boots, got the black glove on. Not a huge fan of the molded cloak.
Yeah.
But, for this line, that's what you get. The green lightsaber, he's still, the sculpt, the likeness still has that sort of deer in the headlights look that all of the Lukes have had so far. As a matter of fact, is this even a different head sculpt from the other ones? Have they used the same? Oh my gosh.
I think it's the same.
It's all just the same because Luke did not have this long hair in Jedi.
No.
He got a haircut. So they've just stuck the farm boy Luke head. Let's see. Let me go back to the beginning of this list. Yes, they have stuck the farm boy Luke head on all of the different Luke looks.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. But that's 1995,
Mm-hmm.
That's how things were then. It's funny to look back to an era where we were just looking at things and being like, wow, we've got toys of this. And we didn't think, does this match the screen exactly? Do they have the exact right weapon? Is their hair just right? Like, it was just a matter of, it's Jedi Knight Luke. Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't looking like Marvel Legends. Like, all right, which pieces are this? Which body? Which, how did they kit bash this together?
Yeah, we didn't think anything of them using the same head for 3 different bodies. That would never fly these days.
Yeah, I do remember they never got the green exactly right. It was always kind of yellow.
Yeah.
And that did always kind of bug me.
So wave 5, we get a couple of Jawas that I actually still have on my shelf now. They're right over there in my dozen or so Jawas that I've got. These are great, man.
Yeah, and they got 2.
Yes, 2 Jawas for $5. 2 completely different sculpts with 2 completely different blasters. Both have the light piping to make their little eyes light up. Great sculpt on the cloaks, the bandoliers, everything. Lots of detail on these guys. I genuinely just really like these figures.
Yeah, I did too.
And then another Luke with that same damn head and a giant stormtrooper helmet to go over the top of it. But here's what's key to this Luke is his companion Han Solo figure was not available at retail.
Nope.
He was a mail away for Fruit Loops.
And I sure did have him.
I don't think I did because I always hated Fruit Loops. And you'd think somebody that was as much of a lunatic as me would have bought Fruit Loops and just dumped them out and sent this in. I don't think I got this Han until they reissued it, I think on the green cards later on.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a green card.
I don't think I did the mail away.
Yeah, I definitely did. I think. I'm trying to remember now. I remember the mail away thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it the mail away.
I know people that did, but I couldn't bring myself to buy Fruit Loops. Not a fan. Apologies to any listeners who enjoy Fruit Loops.
I did get it because I remember my girlfriend at the time making fun of me about getting a toy in the mail from cereal. Yes, I did.
And how we miss those days. We don't get toys in the mail. We get toys in the mail now.
I get lots of toys in the mail now. But
it's a completely different process.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm curious about, and I've never really thought about it because I believe the Han and Luke stormtroopers have different bodies. Is this just the stormtrooper body with a Luke head, or no? This is different.
Yeah, the legs are a little blowed out.
Yeah, and the arms are different as well. So this is actually a new. The torso might be the same.
The Han's on a different body too.
Oh, interesting. So you could really troop build some different looking stormtroopers if you wanted to.
Yeah, because the Han has that like stepping forward legs
Okay.
they for some reason loved in Power of the Force.
Oh, yeah, the worst. Made things so hard. Oh, yeah. And his right arm is cocked almost like for the traditional stormtrooper holding his blaster pose, except for the fact that the left arm is not.
No. It's just limply at his side.
And the funny thing is that this stormtrooper Han did not come with a blaster because this Kellogg's, and the same thing happened with they had a mail-away lifeline from G.I. Joe that had different legs because the original lifeline figure had a holstered pistol sculpted onto the leg and came with a pistol. The mail-away lifeline had different legs and no pistol because Kellogg's didn't want any of their premiums coming with weapons. So that lifeline and this Han Solo did not include weapons at all. The only thing this Han Solo came with was the helmet.
So Toucan Sam is a pacifist.
He is.
We go.
All right, let's see. So we've got the Jawas are great. Luke, Stormtrooper disguise. Moma Nadon, which I do believe this figure is when I learned that Hammerhead's name is Moma Nadon.
Absolutely it was.
And he comes... which I love this figure. I'm not going to say it holds up today, but design wise, like he's good. Yeah. I like him. And he comes with this insane like photon blaster thing.
Double barreled laser cannon.
What the heck? And we all know now. We know better. We know Ithorians are pacifists. We know they wouldn't be walking around with one of these big giant. My gosh, this thing is even bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Wow. If you look at the end package shot, his cannon is almost as tall. It goes up to his shoulder. That is preposterous.
And they're saying his affiliation is the Rebel Alliance. Is that right then?
Well, and that's the thing is, we know that the Ithorians, once we get into the expanded universe, there's a relationship there. But I don't believe this particular Ithorian had anything to do with any rebels.
Oh, you know what? There is an EU story about him, throwing off there's one about him throwing off the stormtroopers.
Oh,
when they're coming. Yeah, I haven't read that. It might have been a Star Wars Insider. Back when they used to do the stories in it. Looking at his card back, this is interesting. So we know that the Snowspeeder was part of the red card series, as we're calling it, but this has the T-16 on it, and I think the T-16 was green. Yeah, T-16 is green. Yeah. So this is right at the tail end of the red card stuff, which we know. R5D4. So we got to talk about this guy because this guy is an astromech droid that launches a rocket. This is where the we want kids to get into these really comes in. Yeah. Not only does he, it's not his motivator that was busted. It apparently was a missile that shot from his insides. Well, and not only his guns. Yes, he has guns mounted on his arms. This is kind of a predecessor
to murder droids that we've come to know and love in things like what the heck is the HK?
Oh yeah, in Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic and Dr. Aphra, our 000 and
BT.
Yeah. Like this R5D4 is kind of the predecessor to all those characters because he is ready to just murder.
Yeah, this is not the EU Jedi R4D4. This is Murderbot.
So awesome toy. Terrible R5D4. Let's see here. I kind of want to get one of those men on card now just because it's so ridiculous. Tusken Raider also looks pretty good. Comes with as we learned, the ear cleaner?
Oh, yeah.
Or no, the toothpick. The Bantha toothpick. That's what it is. So it comes with the Bantha toothpick. Looks good. It stands up pretty nicely. No complaints about this one. Detail-wise, the original Tusken Raiders were pretty good also. They had soft goods robes with the bandolier piece that went over it. This is just kind of an update of that.
Yeah, and I remember I did like this one because they did sculpt underneath his robes all the bandages.
Yes.
That the Tuskens
which you didn't have. I think the originals just had like genie pants on.
Yeah.
Underneath their robes, if I'm remembering right. So yeah, this is a cool figure. Very cool figure. I like this one. Looks good. Let's see. What do we have? No biography here. Just a little Gadurfi stick is the weapon of choice. Vehicle Bantha. It doesn't say that, but that's and then finally, the last thing we've got figure-wise, Death Star Gunner, which honestly, one of the most boring action figures of all time. These guys do not excite me.
Yeah.
In any form, not just this one. Like Death Star Gunner, I'm never excited to buy a Death Star Gunner.
Yep. I always buy them because obviously you have to have it. But
we're chumps, we're suckers. But there has only ever been one Death Star gun made. So we only ever need one Death Star Gunner figure. We certainly, nothing has ever necessitated a Death Star Gunner in every Star Wars line that's ever come out, despite the fact that we've gotten one every single time.
And they re-released that thing like nobody's business. Like he's one that always just comes back out for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a green card version of this guy. They're probably knowing how Hasbro's been operating Vintage Collection. They've probably got this exact figure coming out just on a different card back any day now. And he comes with a couple of weapons we've seen before, the Stormtrooper blaster, and then this other, I think the same rifle the Stormtroopers came with. Deco looks good. The paint on the side of his helmet, fine, whatever, but just I don't need him. I don't even know if I bought this one, to tell you the truth.
Oh, I totally had it because I'm a sucker.
Greedo, which is another massive departure from the original Greedo, which was just in his all green, like nothing else going on. And this was another one that kind of blew my mind with like, oh, the one in the movie doesn't look like the figure I had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's not a green guy in a green jumpsuit.
Yeah. And then when Black Series re-released that original looking Greedo, it still just looks off to me now, even though that's what I was used to for however many years.
Well, and I ordered that one. I still haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Greedo, this started the long line of Greedos Never Stand. It's still going on today. That stupid Black Series one won't stand.
Why? Okay, well, one, look at the leg spread on this guy with his little orange booties and his legs spread out and his ridiculously muscular thighs. What is it with thighs on these people? But Deco is phenomenal. All the different colors on this guy, even his head, the glossy black eyes. He's got paint apps around his mouth, on the top of his head. Like Deco-wise, this figure looks great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that stance. But he's got the great long fingers. He can actually hold that blaster, and then this other bizarre made-up blaster that just went in a drawer or the trash or whatever. But aside from his stance, like I love this guy. I love the way he looks, and this was our first Greedo that was close to being accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still, I mean, that head sculpt, I mean, I haven't seen this figure in forever in person, but I bet that head sculpt stands up today.
Yeah, I bet you could stick that head on a vintage collection figure and most people wouldn't really notice.
Yeah.
And then we get something really special that I don't know that we knew we needed until we saw it, the Tatooine Stormtrooper.
Oh, I loved these things.
Oh my gosh. I mean, because we grew up with just regular ass Stormtrooper toys.
Mm-hmm.
Never even occurred to us that the ones on Tatooine were any different or deserved a variant of figure or anything like that. And then we get this guy with his big orange pauldron, his backpack with all kinds of sculpted goodies on it, and this long rifle that he has to hold all weird for some reason. He has to hold it sideways like he's in a 1990s gangsta flick. But the deco on him, the sort of dirty deco, first time we've seen that on a Stormtrooper. Just what a cool figure. And to see for the first time, like, wow, this is a specialized Stormtrooper.
Yeah, and they reused this one quite a bit. You know, I think one came with the Bantha later. They released a couple of different colors of the what's it called?
The dewback. The dewback.
The dewback. Yeah, sorry, the dewback. Yeah, they reused this one a lot, but it was a great figure. I remember really liking it.
Well, and it was just like I said, it was just exciting to get like, man, it's a different Stormtrooper. This one and the deluxe one were both like really cool because the idea of having Stormtroopers that were more than just that white armor was very cool at the time.
Yeah.
All right. The only thing that we've got left, well, we've got the carrying cases, which they did an official collector case, which if I remember right, was just kind of some kind of generic carrying case. And what's weird to me is before we got the iconic, the legendary Darth Vader carrying case, they did the talking C-3PO carry case, which I didn't bother getting.
I didn't either.
Because I wanted the Darth Vader head, which eventually they did release that. And I came with a figure, and I don't remember who it was, and I don't want to look it up because I want to save that for when we get to the green stuff.
Oh, I definitely got that one for that figure, too.
Okay, well, what was it?
It's Wedge. That's how you got Wedge.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, yeah, 100%. Which actually makes me wonder if I've got like 5 Darth Vader carrying cases. So one of the ones I have is probably this one.
Oh, here's this official carrying case.
What is it?
Is that it? Power of the Force carrying case. It's like a black plastic, like kind of just rectangle with a handle on the top with a giant like cardboard Star Wars Power of the Force of the Vader portrait, like piece of cardboard riveted to it.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing. Is just like the most generic carrying case you could think of. Because again, this was aimed at kids. So when we were kids, carrying cases often were just a piece of media art stuck onto that vinyl box or whatever. Now, like it was literally just a carrying case.
I will say, do you remember the laser rifle carrying case they made?
Yes.
That thing was awesome.
I never had it. I never had the Chewbacca bandolier carrying case.
I had that.
I never had that. I wanted that so bad. I think the only thing I had when I was a kid was the Darth Vader head.
The Vader. Yeah, I had the Vader head and the bandolier.
I didn't have, because they did the C-3PO in the original line too, didn't they?
I don't remember. Did they?
I feel like they did. But yeah, the only thing I had was the Vader head. So the last thing that we have to talk about as you're looking to see if there was a C-3PO head in the original line, we got to talk about.
Oh, they did. It was very nice.
That's what I thought.
It's shiny.
Play sets. Death Star play sets. There was the Death Star Escape, and there was the Detention Block Rescue.
And these things cannot be more different. Like,
yeah,
the Death Star Escape is kind of crappy. Like,
well,
I mean, for what it is, it's fine.
It's the scene. I mean, it's really low to the ground. I did not remember the bridge being quite that low.
There's a graphic underneath to simulate height.
But it's got the door. It's got the bridge that doesn't exactly retract, but it can be removed. Mm-hmm. It's got the rope. It's got a giant, ridiculous blaster on top, which is kind of unnecessary. But you can stand a stormtrooper up there. Like, I like this for what it is. It's not a diorama. It's like this gigantic carbon freezing chamber thing I have, this monstrosity I have right now. It's a play set. It's got a lot of play features, and you can reenact the scene from the movie with this play set and the play features. And I think it was like $10.
Yeah, it was cheap.
10 or $15. It was not expensive. So I like this, and it's got foot pegs. Like, that's a big thing now too, is none of these vintage collection playsets that are coming out, or vehicles or anything, none of them have foot pegs anymore, which on the one hand I appreciate for aesthetic reasons, but on the other hand, you can't get anything to stand on them.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is a great playset, I think. It really is. Like, when I was a kid, I would have loved to have this. Now, well, granted, I actually had the Death Star playset when I was a kid, which was way better than this thing, but like, this would have been a fun extra to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Detention Block Escape, which was
awesome,
booting me down. Yeah, this one legit is very, very cool. It has. What's funny about it is it's got the cell door, but there's just nothing on the other side. But this is the corridor that goes down to the trash compactor. Now, there's no trash compactor, unfortunately, but it's got the opening door. Like, the door slides open. It's just a great little piece of scenery. Doesn't really have as much going on, I guess.
Yeah.
As the other one.
It's got some random missiles that you can shoot, as most of these toys do.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, well, you've got the missiles on the outside that are going to what? Like, what are you flying this thing around and shooting things with it? This makes no sense. But then on the doors here, what are all these weird mechanisms?
I don't know.
I guess these are supposed to be the cameras that they shoot out.
Yeah, I think it is.
So maybe there were plans to do that central area with the comm station.
Yeah, because later they do some play sets like this that hook together.
That's what I was thinking, is that there were some modular sets later on. But this is cool. It's a cool piece of scenery. And again, the key piece of it is the door to the trash compactor.
Yeah, I would absolutely buy this if they re-released it Black Series size.
Well, and I would. It's weird to me, and I guess that's just where Hasbro is with collectors now, because they did the Tantive 4 hallway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how much more interesting would a Death Star corridor with all of these features have been?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's in the works. We don't know. But this is just really cool stuff that you could put on the shelf, sit your figures in, and had, again, play features because these were toys. These were meant for kids. And I think that's important. I like the combination.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ryan, I think that wraps up the red card. And if we ever get around to green card, we're really going to have to split that one up because this one went way longer than I expected it to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of green card stuff.
But as we were talking about this, sort of memories came back, and it was so much fun at the time having Star Wars to buy again. And that's I think that speaks to the power of our fandom for Star Wars, is that these figures that aesthetically, not even by today's standards, but by our standards back then, we were like, these are not great.
Yeah.
But we bought them anyway because it was Star Wars. We loved it.
It was back.
It was back, baby. So to wrap things up, looking back at just this collection, we've already both said we don't have any of this stuff. Well, you said you might have some of the vehicles left.
Yeah.
And I've got my mint on card Boba Fett, and that's it. It was great at the time, and I've talked a lot on the show about how I regret getting rid of or selling so many of the toys that I had. But with these figures, I would never display these. I would never bring them back out. They do have a lot of nostalgia for me, but I can't say that this collection, aside from I wouldn't mind having the vehicles, I can't say that this collection is one I really regret getting rid of.
No. Yeah, I would never. When I gave them away, I kind of looked through them for a little while, and like you said, it was nostalgic, but then I immediately put them in the car and drove them away. And said, all right, see ya. There's a couple I wish I had kept, particularly from the green wave. And maybe we'll talk about that one day, but it's just some of the weird stuff I don't think they'll ever do again.
Yeah, once we get into the green card stuff, there are some figures that I do still have. And there are, like you said, there are some characters and figures that's the only time they've come out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have them, Hasbro may never get back around to them, but that's a show for another day. And speaking of shows for other days, you've got another show, a Star Wars related show.
Yeah. You can check us out on Execute Chapter 66, where we review Star Wars books from the current canon and from the old expanded universe. There's some really good stuff coming out, especially the new Thrawn book is coming out tomorrow as we record this. So I'm sure I'll be reading that in a day or two. And we're going to go back and look at some of the really old books soon from early expanded universe, just to see how they hold up these days.
So let me ask you this, since you've been doing that show for a while now.
Yeah, it's been I think we recorded our year anniversary not too long ago.
So have there been times where keeping up with the media has felt like a bit of a chore? Like, I got to do this for the show?
No, not too bad. They, with High Republic, they're pushing out a lot of stuff right now. Yeah. And I would read those anyway. There's only really been one book that has just been awful. And, if you want to hear, we generally on the show, like on here, we try to keep it positive, but that Freefall book is absolute garbage. It's the worst thing I've ever read. But it's been neat to go back and read like books I probably wouldn't have gone back and read, like Shadows of the Empire and things like that. It's been cool to go back and see it. And we're looking at doing stuff like that. But no, like it's definitely forced me to get back into canon really deep.
Yeah,
which has been good. And the stuff they're putting out now is outside of that piece of crap Freefall. It's really good. Like, if you've listened to it, I can't recommend the High Republic enough. It's been really good. And the people they've got working on it, you can tell really care about it. So
Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man, and talking about Power of the Force. We will reconvene at some point and talk about a portion of the next iteration of Power of the Force. Thanks for coming on and talking, Ryan.
Always good to be here.
All right, you guys, we got to wrap this thing up because I actually do want to watch at least some of Impact. I don't know if you can rewind on Twitch or not. Like if I join it right now, I don't know if I have to just watch the rest of the show or what. Oof. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Needless Things. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. May the 14th. I kind of feel like the greatest animated series of all time is kicking off a little run of excitement for Needless Things because we've got Dragon Con is on the way. We are planning. We are doing things. We are forging ahead. 100% go on Dragon Con. And just the juices are flowing. It feels like life is coming back into everything. So I'm really excited. I'm excited for you guys to listen, to see, to hear. I'm working on something a little extra for May. Well, I guess it won't be May the 14th. It would be the night we record. I'm going to see how practical it would be to do something pretty cool that night. We've never done it. It would require a little bit of testing and a little bit of expertise. But if I can make it happen, I will make it happen. But one way or another on May the 14th, you're going to have something really fun, really ridiculous, and really incredible, and probably really infuriating to check out and listen to. Please do go back and listen to the greatest movie of all time. You will enjoy it. Even if you already listened to it, go back and check it out again. I think it'll be worth your time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go do that. Tomorrow, because you guys know I'm going to watch Impact. I love you guys.
You have been listening to a Needless Things podcast. You can follow Needless Things on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at needlessthingspodcast.com. Love you. Mean it. Uh-huh.